all you guys over the last 6 months, but that's not the case. How you guys doing?
Good.
All right. Fire away.
Coach Thomas Robinson said that he wasn't surprised that you guys were picked preseason #1 in the Big 12 along with A&M. Are you at all surprised?
Well, yeah, I'm surprised. I really thought our coaches, I always say that the coaches know more than the media. I'm not sure that's the particular case in our league right now. Last year we had the Twins and Morningstar and Reed and Selby and Little, and I think the coaches picked us third, and we don't have any of those guys now, and they picked us, I guess, tied to pick to win it. But that doesn't bother me. We've kind of gone into the season with tempered expectations, to be honest with you, and I've tried to do that with our fans a little bit, and which I think is accurate. It's not coach speak, but I think it speaks volumes to how well some of these guys and certainly how players in the past have performed here during league play. So I think it's fine. And we're kind of used to being in a situation where people expect us to be decent, and we won't shy away from that.
It's true every year, but is it even more true this year that if you're not really, really good defensively, you won't be a really good basketball team?
Well, I looked up something the other day. Chris Tyson did something. I think in the last 7 years, and I could be off on this. You guys may look it up. Gary may know it off the top of his head. But if you look it up, that we've been in the worst team we've had defensively in America was 11th, and that was last year, the worst. And we finished anywhere from, and I think 1 year we finished second in our league in field goal percentage defense, which we take great pride in. Some people don't think that's important. That's something we think is important because it's what we emphasize. But we've also had teams that could score 80 points a game consistently. I think last year we ended up averaging 82, and I think in 08 we averaged 82, and the year before last we averaged above 80. I mean, we've been teams that could score, but this will be a little bit different. It's going to be, we won't score as many points. We could play faster and not score as many points, but we have to be not good, but we have to be great defensively, like you said. And if we're able to accomplish that, that's going to be something that I really feel like that will give us a chance to have a really good season. If we're not great defensively, I don't see that we'll have the firepower to outscore folks night in and night out. So, and that's not being negative, that's being very factual. But I do think we have potential to be really good defensively. I do like our team in that regard a lot.
You lost Brady, great defensive player. Who do you see maybe filling his role as a defensive stopper?
You can talk about our team. Tyrell. The Twins were great, and you're losing Tyrell, who's probably made about as many big shots as anybody has for us. Period. In the time that I've been here, I mean, he made a lot of big shots. And then in Brady, people take him for granted, but you're losing your best perimeter defender, your best passer, your best ball mover, and your best percentage three-point shooter. I mean, that's a lot. So we're going to miss those guys, and you're also losing. There's 4 guys right there, and that's not counting Josh or Mario, but those 4 in particular, because they played here longer, whose basketball IQ was off the charts. From on a scale of 1 to 10, they're 9s and 10s from an IQ standpoint and a feel standpoint. So we're losing a lot, intangibles with those guys. But I really think this. I think Tyshawn can be as good a guard as there is defensively, and I think Travis Relaford has the potential to be as good a wing defensively as we have in our league. And those two are going to have to play to that level to give us the best chance.
What about Travis makes him so well equipped to be a defender of that talent?
Well, I think there's a lot of things. I think he's a good athlete. He's strong. He can slide. He's a good anticipator. He's got good feel. And he's been around long enough that he gets certain things. Like if, he'll know how to guard crosses on the baseline. He'll know how to guard a double or stagger differently than he will a single down. Things like that people have to go through to learn how to guard. But the biggest thing is I think he's tough. And people say this all the time. Anybody can. It takes talent to play offense, but anybody can play defense. That's not necessarily true. But Travis is one of those guys that I think has the talent to be a really good defender, maybe potentially a great defender, if he wants to be.
Bill, you mentioned the league. Could you just talk about your thoughts on what this season is going to be like without Nebraska and Colorado in the mix?
I don't, you know, no disrespect to those schools. I don't think anybody in our league is going to talk about Nebraska and Colorado moving forward. And it's not because we're mad. It's just because I don't think you deal with what ifs. I think it's a whole different ballgame now. They're gone. Colorado's gone, and they've gone off the things that they want to do, and we wish them well. And both coaches are really good friends of mine, but we don't look at our league race and say, well, it's going to be so much different because two teams aren't in it. We look at our league race saying it's probably going to be the toughest and most competitive it's been since we've been here because we're playing everybody twice. So not as a knock to anybody, I think our league is tougher because it's round robin. And it doesn't have anything to do with Colorado and Nebraska. It just has something to do with the way the new setup is. And you know, our league's going to be good. And, you know, I don't know. And I don't know all the teams and all that stuff. I know A&M's going to be really good. And personally, I picked Baylor to finish first in our league. And I think I picked A&M too. But you know, what I picked and what anybody else picks this time of year doesn't mean anything. But obviously, because look whether the coaches picked us. But you know, you look at the league. You know, we've won the league the last 3 years at 14-2, 15-1, 14-2. That's not happening. There's nobody going 16-2 this year, and I don't think anybody go 15-3. And if somebody goes 14-4, then they've had not a good year, an unbelievable year, because I just think it's going to be that much harder to win. I mean, you know, 14-4, 13-5 will, I would almost guarantee you, be winners going into this year.
What makes 18 games a bad number as opposed to 16?
Well, it takes away two. You know, this may not sound like a big deal, but it certainly limits your scheduling non-conference. I mean, why would 8 league games in football be better than 9? Well, it gives you a chance to pick the other 4 you play as opposed to them picking for you. And that's the way it is, you know, with 18. 18's too many. Any coach that would tell you that 18's a good number of league games, and they're not telling the truth, because it's a grind. It makes the season longer, even though it's just another week. It's just a situation where you're not going to replace your good non-league games. You're still going to play those. You're just not giving the guarantee games, the same number of guarantee games, which makes for a harder season, you know. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think every coach in our league would tell you that 18 will be much harder than 16. And 16 was much harder than 14. And I'm not sure playing more league games does anything for you RPI-wise, and I don't know if it certainly does anything for you for getting teams in the tournament. I really don't see the advantage in the big scheme of things, but certainly, you know, that's with 10 teams, there's no other way to do it.
Coach, could you discuss the challenges and responsibilities facing Thomas this year with his different role this year than what he had to do last year, and what you need to see from him to be the success you want him to have? And can I add just one with what you're just saying? What's the role of with this more difficult, longer conference schedule? Is there an increased importance
with him
among leadership on the team?
I don't know about among leadership, but you know, it's I think it, you know, wears you down. The league race is a long race. We put a lot of emphasis, you guys know, on the league, and you know, no bye weeks, no chance to rest guys. You know, starting a week sooner. You know, it just makes it for a longer season. There's no doubt about that. You know, in football, if you were going to say, okay, we're going to play 10 league games in football next year as opposed to 9, every coach would say, oh, geez. You know, there's no question. So that's kind of where that is. And Thomas, you know, Thomas is really a good player. I love his attitude. I love his energy. I love his try. His try level's off the charts. But, you know, he's never carried the water before. You know, he's been a guy that if he did not play well, we could still put the starters back in the game. And now, if he doesn't play well, he's going to be the one that you guys write about. And when he plays well, he's going to be the one that you guys write about. And he's going to be the first guy interviewed in the locker room. Well, we don't let you guys in the locker room, but he'll be the first guy interviewed in the press room. And everybody's going to want to talk to him and stuff like that. That's a different pressure. And the thing that I think he'll rally around to find. But hey, it is a big deal when Sharon took every shot, and when we didn't win, Sharon missed a shot or didn't play well down the stretch, and he shouldered all that. There's always somebody on a team that shoulders the majority of that, unless you're just stocked. And I think Thomas, in large part, he and Tyshawn will be the ones shouldering that this year. So I think that will be different. He's very capable, but it is a different role.
Coach, I know last year a lot of people compared last year's team to the champion, the 08 team.
Why?
I mean, there was
The team in 09 was a better team than last year's team.
What I'm asking though is, do you see similarities with Tyshawn and Thomas, with Cole and Sharon?
Yeah, I think there's some similarities. I think that on paper, you would say that maybe Cole and Sharon collectively may not be quite where Tyshawn and Thomas is collectively in our minds right now. But you're going into that year, and then Cole ends up making second-team All-American. But going into it, I think there's a lot of similarities. Now, whether or not they can play to that level, I mean, you got Sharon that was first-team All-League. I think he finished second Player of the Year voting that year behind Blake, if I'm not mistaken. I could be off a little bit, but I think he did. And then you got Cole, who's a second-team All-American and first-team All-Leaguer. Those guys produced that year. And so these guys have yet to produce. But I would say going into it, I'd say there's a lot of similarities. You got an anchor and you got a point. And if you're going to start a team, there's no better place to start than with an anchor and a point.
But with Tyshawn, he's obviously got to watch Sharon lead his team for a few years, and the Twins seemed to take over that role more last year. Now he's the main senior. He's always starts under his belt. What have you seen from him leadership-wise? Obviously, the season's just getting started, but do you think he's ready for that?
Yeah, I do think he's ready. I'm excited for him. I think he's going to have a great senior year. Tyshawn is one of those kids that, he's ultra competitive. He's started out much faster than we could ever envision him starting out. I mean, think of it, when he came here, he's the fourth leading scorer on his high school team, and he's starting every game for Kansas and scoring just as many points at KU as he did for his high school team as a freshman, although his high school team was really good, obviously. But he kind of had so much success early compared to what expectations were, and then when expectations became high, he labored a little bit and was inconsistent and got in his own way a little bit. But I think he's matured. I think he's grown up. He's wanted this to be his deal. But it's hard. It couldn't be his deal with Sharon around. No way. And it couldn't be his deal with the Twins around. And so even though Thomas is around, and Thomas is as important as anybody on our team from a leadership and intangible standpoint, Tyshawn is probably even more important. So he wanted it. He said he wanted it. And now he's got it. And now we'll see how he reacts to it. But all indications are to me and to our staff that he's well on his way to doing a great job with it.
How did he grow when he got in his own way, as you put it? How did Tyshawn grow when he did get in his own way?
I think one thing that
giving you headaches.
But see, that's the whole thing. One thing that has happened with Tyshawn, and I say this publicly, is when something happens with our program, we can't hide it from you guys. There's nothing. I mean, we are probably about as transparent as any program can be, because if we don't tell you, you're going to find out. You got moles everywhere. Not necessarily you, but some of you do. And that's the way it is with the internet, and that's the way it works. And so a lot of times when we do something and it becomes public, now it becomes such a big deal that doing the right thing is the perception that you have problems. It's not. The problems are if you don't do the right thing because you're scared of the perception. So people can skew things, saying, well, they had to do this, or they had to do this, or they got issues there because they suspended or whatever. When the reality is, when you do that with your own child at home, your next door neighbors don't find out about it. But it's still the right thing to do for your kid. And so that's what we felt about Tyshawn. And so he hasn't given me headaches all the time, okay? We've butted heads a little bit, but that's one thing I like is his stubbornness. I think that's an attractive quality in a lot of regards, and Sharon and I did that too. But I think now he sees it through the eyes of how other people see it, as opposed to his own eyes. Because, hey, what I did wasn't that bad, Coach. Well, there's a lot of people out here that don't agree with you. And so he's seeing it from a bigger perspective, and I think he gets it. I really do. I think that's helped him grow up. And plus, you know, when you come in at age 18 or 19, and by the time you're 22, you should grow up a little bit. And a lot of it's just the natural maturation process. But I think he's done a really nice job. I've seen he's coaching guys as opposed to telling them what to do. He's not getting on to them as opposed to encouraging them. You know, he's doing a lot of things that you see in natural leaders that I think is really positive.
How big of an impact do you think Kevin Young can make?
Kevin is one of those guys that could potentially be a starter. We're kind of going to mess with him a little bit, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but he's kind of a hybrid. He's a little bit like Julian in that, if we had a whole bunch of big guys, he'd definitely play on the perimeter all the time. We don't have a whole bunch of big guys, so now he's going to have to play inside some and on the perimeter. So he's going to have to be kind of a jack of all trades for us. But that's kind of who he is. But he's a high energy guy. He's a great kid. He's just got to get comfortable basketball wise. But I think he's going to be a huge impact for us.
With Thomas, he played at such a high energy in shorter bursts last year. Does he have to pace himself at all?
No. What he's got to do is that's a great question because we talk about that. What he's got to do is get in great shape. Because through lack of conditioning comes carelessness, comes lack of discipline, comes fouling, and all of a sudden you just put your team in harm's way of not winning because of that. So he's got to be as well a conditioned athlete as there is in our league, in my opinion, to give us the best chance because we don't need to take him out that much. If we could keep him out of foul trouble and he'd play aggressively, he's a guy that he's in good enough shape. He should play 32, 35 minutes a game.
Is he there yet?
No. But nobody, not this time of year. Can he be there? Oh, absolutely. But not this time of year, But he'll get there. He'll get there.
Isn't this very similar to your first year with Wayne? I mean, he kind of played short bursts before that and then came in and you had him playing a lot his final 2 years.
Yeah, I guess there's some similarities. I would say Wayne was a different guy. Thomas, what the point was, his whole presence is, I'm going to outwork you. Where Wayne was such a skilled guy too. I mean, he was a workhorse, but he was so skilled it was a little bit different. Where Thomas will lose his effectiveness if the other guy can compete as hard as he does. So I think that's a good point. He's got to be in great shape.
You mentioned field goal percentage earlier. How big is Withy this year? Someone who can protect the rim.
Well, he can. Last year we didn't protect the rim great. Keith blocked a few shots. Marcus wasn't a shot blocker. And I could be wrong, but didn't Withy lead our team in block shots last year? Gary? Didn't he? Chris, did Withy lead our team in block shots last year?
1 or 2. Might have been Markey. 1.7.
So that's our SID. I think that Jeff could, he has potential to lead the league in block shots if he plays enough minutes. But we should be a better rim protector than what we were last year. One thing about Cole, and people take Cole for granted and all that stuff, I never did because we could play bad defense and he could erase some bad defense because he could block and alter. Jeff can do the same things that Cole did in that regard, and he's bigger. So.
Is he stronger than he was?
Oh yeah. He's gotten stronger. Chris, where is it? What is it? Block shots.
Marquise 43, Marcus 24, Thomas 22, and Jeff 19.
So I was way off base on that. If the stats don't support my statement, I just appreciate not saying anything. We don't want to let the truth get in the way of a good stat.
Can everybody participate tomorrow night? Is that?
No, not yet. We're still waiting for an interpretation from the NCAA to see if Ben and Jamari can participate in late night. Now, they won't participate in practice. I just want them to come out there and be a part of the team. And I don't see how that affects anything, but based on the information we have right now, the determination has not been made whether or not they can come out there and be a part of the festivities with no regard to practice. So I don't understand that one. So that's one that we'll continue to fight for until late night tomorrow night to see if that can happen, because they deserve that, regardless of where they are from a situation. There's no reason that they can be involved in certain things promotionally, but not be involved in front of a promotional thing, because that's all this is tomorrow night from their standpoint.
Do you think it'll be decided
soon on their final status? Or?
Yeah, I do, and you know, I've held off talking about that, but they know where they're at, and they know that we tried and are trying to get some things done, and obviously we haven't got the answers that we want, because if we had, we would have shared them with you. I mean, that's a factual thing, but so it's not totally negative. I'm not saying that at all, but we still have hope, but we're not holding our breath on that situation at all.
Travis, when he played inside for you last year, it seemed like he defended well. Will
Mm-hmm.
he be a hybrid this year, or is he a perimeter?
You know what? I think that he is a perimeter guy that we could do some things and turn the court inside out, so to speak, and maybe play Thomas some on the perimeter, just to get a big guy away from the basket, and let Travis try to post a guard, and then switch him up and do some different. We're messing with some different things with maybe. When Kevin's at the 4, maybe get a big guy to guard him, and he becomes perimeter and slide Travis inside. You know, just some different things to do some things. You know, the last 2 years we've been a very traditional team. We played guards and we played bigs, and this year we're not going to be able to be quite as traditional. So we'll do some different things like that. Yeah. So I think that could be good for Travis.
How do you see Justin fitting in? I mean, last year he didn't play, obviously, when he was redshirted, and he showed a lot of athleticism.
Yeah, he's probably as quick a athlete as we've had since we've been here. I think that you guys will see tomorrow night. He's really, really athletic, and you know, he's offensively a little limited, but certainly, you know, he's smart and he understands, and you know, he's a guy that we shouldn't count on to come in and score double figures and get double figures rebounds a game, because you know, he's got to grow into that. I mean, he's come a long ways in the last 12 months, but he's still got a ways to go. But I'm really glad he's here. I think he'll definitely be part of our rotation and be a good player for us.
What minutes do you need from Withings?
Yeah, I don't know. You know, it'd be nice to get 20, you know, because he's going to foul. You know, guys all say they want to play 30 minutes a game or 25 minutes a game or whatever, but the reality is it's hard to play that amount of game, that much time, if you're sitting on the bench because of foul situations. So a lot of it will be, you know, how smart he defends and things like that. So. But in a perfect world, and we obviously don't live in that, but in a perfect world, he should be a 20-minute-a-game guy.
Do you need 20 minutes a game from him?
I don't know. I know that our guys think he's gotten a lot better. Our staff thinks he's gotten better. But if he's playing well at his length, he can create a lot of problems for people. There's no question. But, you know, also, let's wait and see how Wesley and Young and those other guys develop, because that'll be a big key in how much that we would play Jeff and Thomas. I hope they develop to the point where we don't have to play those guys all the minutes.
It seems like you know, obviously a lot of talk about Tyshawn and Thomas and the new guys and how they're going to perform. It seems like Elijah maybe get lost in the shuffle, but doesn't he have a chance to really kind of have a productive year and blow up this year on this?
Yeah, he's got a chance to blow up. He does. He's been very impressive to us so far, and he's always been talented. But you know, I think he's been a kid, even back in high school or whatever, that for whatever reason just hadn't quite put it all together yet. And he needs to put it together for us to have the best chance, because he's without question one of our most talented guys, and he's had a very good summer and a good fall. And so we're expecting big things out of Elijah. I really think that we haven't even seen a glimpse of what he can be. He's one of the better all-around guards we've recruited since we've been here. He just hasn't had a chance to show it yet.
He and Tyshawn seem really excited to be able to play together.
Yeah, I think they are. Yeah, I think they are. I think they become close. They become real close, and you know, they're always friends, but I think they've kind of bonded more, and maybe because they know they got to lean on each other a lot. But I think that could be a pretty good backcourt.
What are your expectations of Mr. Tharp?
He needs to play. He's going to play. I anticipate him being part of our rotation, depending on how much we play Elijah at that point, you know, whatnot. But Nadir's going to play for us. He's going to get minutes and hopefully be very productive.
He's very different too, where he's more of, you know, of a pass-first point guard.
Well, yeah, but Tyshawn is too, you know. But yeah, you're exactly right. He reminds me of from a personality and tangible, all those things. He reminds me a lot of Aaron, and Aaron's one of my most favorite guys ever. Hopefully he'll play like Aaron, but he reminds me a lot of Aaron in his style and how he plays, but more so than that, some intangibles he possesses.
Tyshawn told me that you demand some good play, some serious play out of him tomorrow. What'd you tell the younger guys about late night and how they should handle the scrimmage?
I really, our guys are great about telling you guys stuff. So I haven't talked to our guys about late night yet. But Tyshawn has heard me talk about it for 3 years in a row, and I'll say the same thing that I would tell, all the guys is, cool doesn't win anything. And I just want them to come out and have fun, but try hard and play. But trust me, how we play tomorrow night isn't going to be any indication, good or bad, on what type of team that we're going to have moving forward.
I think Merv Lindsay's a guy you guys found late. Did he just, how did that come about? Did he just perform well in some AAU events?
Yeah, he played great in some AAU events. He played great in Dallas. Tony Johnson has an event down there, and he played really well in that and impressed a lot of people. So we kind of got on the bandwagon. Other schools were on him too. I mean, there were some ACC schools on him and stuff, and so we got him. He's a talented kid. He can shoot the basketball. The one thing that he's not quite there yet, just like a lot of 18-year-old guys, is he's physically, hasn't gotten strong yet. But he's working hard. He's gained a lot of weight, and it's good weight. And so I hope he can be a contributor for us this year.
You ever recruited a coach before? Kevin done a little bit of that.
You see, that's another thing. He says he coached last year, right? So I think his idea of coaching is sitting on the sideline, drinking a Coke, and watching somebody else coach. But he's a group.
See pointers from him?
I might. He's smart. He's smart. He understands the game, and he really wants to do right. I mean, he's a pleaser, and he wants to try real hard and please and do anything that it takes to be successful. And he's been like a sponge for us. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's the type of kid that would be a coach moving forward, because it really interests him. He has a sincere interest in really understanding what's going on.